Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. We are hopping in because we want to share a few answers to some questions that have come up for many of you around joining us for Recalibrate. And we thought, what better way than to do a little Q&A together and offer some perspective that might help you to feel a little more supported in making your decision to come and join us. So we're going to get started. I'm going to ask Rachel, what do you say to people who want to come to Recalibrate, but they are at the point where they feel like they're so overwhelmed, they're so exhausted, like, I'd love to, but I can't imagine putting anything else on my plate right now?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And it's one that we get so frequently because of who this course is designed for. And I guess my answer is sort of twofold. So, one is that sometimes it's not the right time. And that's okay. And that may not be the answer that you were expecting. But sometimes it's just not the right time with the amount of things that you have going on. There's very little capacity to sort of shift those things around. And as a result, maybe the next time is a better time. And that being said, we actually were just in a conversation with someone the other day who gave this really great analogy of, if you are so hungry, are you just too hungry that you forego eating when the opportunity is there? Probably not. Or if you've been out mucking around in the woods and you're so dirty, are you just like too dirty to take a shower? No. Right. And so a lot of times we, uh, think of all the things in this moment and it's overwhelming. And the question that we would pose back to you is, if you are so overwhelmed and tired, do you just forego the opportunity for resources, resilience building, increasing capacity, increasing awareness, and having support? No. You don't, right? And so I really think that's such a great analogy to use of, if you're feeling really tired, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling like, I don't even know if I could add one more thing without sort of throwing it over the edge, just reach out to us and let's chat about how we can make this work. Because this program is truly transformational. We have seen it time and time again. We have seen it from participants who are not sleeping through the night, have young kids at home, have very demanding jobs and to-do lists that, extend far beyond what is considered at all possible. And they have prioritized making this work and have had huge transformation as a result. So if you're wanting change, we have to change ourselves. Something has to change. And so this might just be it for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's like, you're never too stiff to do yoga. It's like the more stiff you are, the more you should do it.
Yeah, exactly. We don't
the
just
more
put
burnt
that
out
in a
you
box.
are. Yeah, the more burnt out you are, the more you should take time for this.
Yeah. So then another really common question that we get is, I just can't afford it. What do you say to that, Meg?
Yeah. I kind of have 2 points for this as well. So the first one is, we really believe wholeheartedly that this work needs to be accessible to everyone. And so we are more than open to having a payment plan for everyone who wants to be with us. And we have options for that to help you make this approachable for you. The second part is that, how much money are you spending right now trying to get help? How many appointments do you go to for massage or chiropractor, or how many movement classes are you paying for? How much therapy are you doing? All of these things add up, and we know that there is a common denominator for all of them that comes back to root cause nervous system regulation. And if we can really get down to that root cause uh, level, then maybe we don't have to spend as much money, time, resources running around to all these other appointments that help us. Maybe we can really help ourselves. And it doesn't mean that we're not going to still have the support of healthcare providers, but maybe we don't need it as much. Maybe it's not every week. Maybe it becomes a maintenance program instead. And I feel like that, I know for myself personally, that was a big shift for me of feeling resourced for myself to be able to know what choices that I needed to take care. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
So, what happens when people come in and they're like, I don't know about being in a group. I
Mm,
don't know. It sounds like too vulnerable to be in a group setting,
yeah,
or I don't want to listen to other people's stories.
yeah, yeah. So again, a few different pieces to this question. One is that we have both been in enough groups over time to know what supports good group dynamic and proper facilitation and what does not. And so we have very strict guidelines in our group sessions in order to provide a safe, open, welcoming environment for everybody. That means creating confidentiality within the space. That means being respectful of how we're sharing and how we're showing up for each other. It means engaging in active listening. It means not providing advice. And there are more pieces to that. But that is really fundamental to us. And it is really the framework that allows these groups to provide as much support and connection as they do. So
Mhm.
that often provides a huge amount of reassurance for people, knowing that it's not going to be a free for all in
Mhm.
terms of sort of anything welcome. We are really specific about the way that we all show up in so that we can show up as ourselves and show up and feel supported and safe. So that's
Mhm.
number one. Number
Mhm.
two is that there is absolutely no requirement to speak up, to share, to be vulnerable in that way. It's encouraged because we know over time the benefit that that can have for you to be witnessed in your feelings and in your um, situation and experience. And it is by no means a requirement. We will never call on somebody to speak. There are people who attend the sessions and never say anything across the entire 6 weeks. And at the end, the feedback is how powerful the group setting was because being
Mhm.
in connection with other people who are walking a similar path is incredibly empowering to know that you are not alone. And a lot of times, people who are experiencing a lot of stress, overwhelm, burnout, sometimes relationship issues, work issues, health concerns, and uh, diagnoses, even, it can be very isolating. And
Mhm.
so, whether you actually say anything or not, it can feel incredibly comforting to know that you are in a group of like minded people who support you no matter what.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we would really encourage that to not be a deterrent. We would encourage you to try it on and to
Mhm.
see what happens,
Mhm.
knowing that there's no expectation and absolutely no judgment around it at all.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, definitely. Mm.
Mhm. And so, along the line of those group calls, one question that we often get is, what happens if I can't make the group calls?
Okay, yes. So this does happen, and we have done our best to try to structure the course in such a way that should you perhaps be in a different time zone or not be able to attend the call live, the material is all available to you online. So all of the education, the embodiment, the reflections, that is all available for you to work at your own pace. We do meet twice a week for our group calls, and the group call, the earlier one in the week, we generally start it with a recap of what has transpired that week in the week's content, and then we open it up for a group share. Now, we don't record this meeting because of the nature of the sharing, but if there is sort of a thread or a major takeaway or some themes that we feel are really valuable and that everyone really does need to know about, we will relay that information to anyone that wasn't in attendance of the course that night. So we do this through our Voxer walkie-talkie app that we have set up with everyone. And this is just a great way to kind of catch up to speed with how things are going. And then on the Sunday night when we gather together, this is a mindfulness practice. And so we're meeting in the Zoom room again, but we actually do record this component of the course. So should you not be able to make that part live, it will be dropped into your course portal after it's completed. And again, we do open it up for a little bit of sharing after the mindfulness practice. This area of the course we don't record again because of the nature of it. But again, if there is something that felt really profound that needed to be shared with everyone, we will make sure to follow up with anyone that wasn't there. I want to also put in the caveat here that if you can't make any of the calls, and you are someone who is very self-sufficient and self-sustaining, you can still get so much out of this course without being on those calls. And as Rachel said, when we come together in community, in group setting, in sharing from our hearts, there is something magical that happens. And what we have seen is that the students that do prioritize the times for those calls tend to feel more committed to the work, and I think are able to create change probably a little bit more effectively. So I definitely would suggest prioritizing those calls, and it's also not a requirement for you to be there if you feel that you can find the supports that you need via the other pieces of our course content. Then absolutely, we encourage you to come as you are. Which kind of leads to like, how is the course even structured?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's, there's a few pieces to the course and the way that it's structured. And I would also encourage you, Meg did a behind the scenes video, and that's on our YouTube channel. And so that will actually give you a whole walkthrough of the course. And that would be a really helpful resource. I will talk about it now, but that would be a follow-up resource there. And so the way that this works is across the 6 weeks, there's new content that's dropped every Monday. And you have an account in our online course portal called Hey Marvelous, and you log in there, and every Monday you will have access to the course material for that week and anything in the past. And so with that, what you'll see dropped every Monday is an educational lesson, an embodiment practice, and reflection prompts. And these are really the 3 pillars of this course. So education, embodiment, and reflection. The educational video will be one or both of us talking through the material in more of an educational format. So with slides, talking through the theory behind things, and then getting into a few practical pieces that you can start to do from this material. The embodiment practice is, again, led by one of us. This is a video that will guide you through a type of movement practice most often. And what that will do is start to get the theme of the material for that week into your body. So we all know, we've all been in courses where, you're reading, you're watching, it's all up here. And that is wonderful as a first step. We have to know the material, we have to understand the why, but the only way to feel better from that material and to actually use that material is to understand how to put it into practice. And that's really that whole foundation of embodiment. And so that's what you will see in that movement practice. And it's a huge and necessary part of this course. And I think it's really what differentiates this course above and beyond a lot of other stress management courses or sort of manage your anxiety courses, is the practical nature of how do we experience that in our bodies. So that's a really important part of the course that is dropped into the portal again every Monday. The third piece that's dropped into the portal are your reflection prompts. And again, this idea of taking it from our heads into our bodies, that's the necessary transition. And the third piece is to actually kind of loop around and reflect and build your awareness on your current practices and these new practices to understand how these are landing. We often describe what we present in this course as a buffet, with the idea that there's lots and lots of things, there's something for everyone, but everything is not always for everyone. And so this reflection piece really helps you to dial in on what works for you, what doesn't. When you're feeling a certain way, what is the go-to? And that will help you build that toolkit or that repertoire so that in the moment you can feel better. Yeah. And then the last piece that's dropped into the portal is your quick tools video. And we made these really accessible. They're videos that are 5 minutes or less, and it is a technique that you can use to essentially, as I just said, feel better in the moment. So it's a way to, when you're out and you're in your busy day and you're feeling yourself start to get activated, what is something that you can do to come down? And that's the purpose of that quick tool. So your portal on Monday is going to have those 4 different pieces. Then as we've talked about around the calls, we come together twice a week. So one call is on Thursday evenings, and there's the recap of the week. And then there's the open opportunity for sharing, for questions, for reflection. And then we come together on Sunday night as well. And that's where one of us will lead a live mindfulness practice. And then again, opening it up as a checkout opportunity for the week. And then it all starts again. So on top of that, we also have individualized support for you. And that is, as Meg mentioned, in our Voxer walkie-talkie conversations. And that is an app that we use. We have chosen it specifically because of the voice conversation option. And so you can certainly text, you can send a video, but the main feature of it is that it acts like a walkie-talkie. So you are talking into it, you're saying whatever, and then as soon as you lift your hand off the button, it sends. So it's great for us because we can really hear the inflection in your voice, we can hear emotion, and there's no editing option. So it's just showing up essentially as you are. And you will see with us, we fumble over our words, we come back to things. We're human, we're all human, and it really reinforces that human element to our conversation. And so that is a 3-way conversation between the 2 of us and you. So there's things that you can bring up there, check-ins that we can have that aren't necessarily in that full group setting.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, it's one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Um, and then the last question that comes up quite a bit is feeling apprehensive or even scared about what might come up as you start to dive into this type of work.
Mhm. Yeah, this is an important question for us to answer here. And first of all, I want to say that we have structured the course in such a way that um, there is a gentle unfolding. It is really about giving you some ground level resources to get you started on your path so that you are not unpacking things that you're not ready to unpack. And we really have spent a lot of time cultivating this course over the years to get better and better at how do we gently progress into this content and not overload and overwhelm. The idea is to help you to learn to walk with the things that you have experienced in your life and to move hopefully into your future feeling more resilient and more capable. And so there's never a push for you. This is not about pushing. And anything that is not ready is okay. It is okay to put things on the shelf to come back to. The first thing we have to do when we're working at nervous system level is to start to build resources for you so that you actually have capacity so that when you are ready, you can take those things off the shelf and open up the box and take a look inside and know when it's time to stop with that too and be able to close the lid and put it back away. This is a huge part of how we show up for this work because it's not about taking all your trauma and throwing it down in front of you and saying, okay, we got to sort this out. It's not about reliving your trauma, um, but it is about really building up the foundation for you. So that's kind of the first piece around if you're feeling apprehensive around what is going to come up for you, just know that it is it's up to you to decide how quickly you want to unfold to yourself. And we will be here every single step of the way to help you in that process if you're feeling unsure or like you're not you're unaware of how quickly it might be going for you. One of our tenets that we hold really dear in this course is that you must go at your own pace. And for some people, that does look like pause. It might look like, you know what, I need to stop at this week and I need to sit with what's coming up for me and I need to reflect on it. I'm not ready to take in more information, and that is okay. Pause. It's okay to take a break from the material. For some people, that means in the moment pause. So maybe in one of the embodiment practices, you feel yourself becoming agitated or overactivated or whatever it is that you're experiencing. It might mean in the moment pausing and just going, you know what, I'm going to put that video away for right now and come back to it later. It might mean putting the course on pause. We haven't as yet had anyone that has had to pause completely and remove themselves from the course. Everyone who has needed to take a pause has often been for maybe a couple of days or a week. And I think that really just speaks to the nature of how we're showing up in this work. It is deep work, but as I said, again, it is really meeting you where you're at. We are never going to push you. Okay. So if you are feeling scared or apprehensive, just know it's not about that. Yeah.
Mhm,
Mhm.
mhm.
Anything else, Rach, that you want to add or share in asking people or answering questions for this course?
Yeah, I think, these are a lot of the questions that we frequently hear, and you might have other ones. So if you do, please reach out to us. As I started at the beginning saying, this is an incredibly transformational course, and sometimes it's the right time and sometimes it's not. And we want to support you in determining that. So if you
Mhm.
have questions, please reach out to us, and we would love to hop on a call or have a chat with you and answer those questions so that you have all the information that you feel you need. Um, we have so many people who have gone through this course and have just expressed how life changing really it has been. So, what we end up saying to most people is if you're on the fence, give it a try and see, and let's talk about
Mhm.
it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I don't think we've ever had anyone walk away from this course going, "I regret that."
No, no,
In
I
fact,
don't
I
think
would say
so.
it's the opposite, where most people walk away saying, "That's the best money I've spent for my health in years."
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
everyone, thank you so much for tuning in with us today and joining us for this Q&A. Um, Again, if there's anything else that's coming up for you, reach out. We're here for you, and we're ready when you're ready.
Absolutely. Take good care, everyone.
Take care.